One of the most important aspects of WeatherTell, or basically any scientific visualization, is to be able to georeference your information. So on that note, this video is going to go over how to bring up an underlay, a geographic underlay within WeatherTell, so that when you view your actual numerical weather prediction data, you have a reference based on the ground surface to figure out where you're looking at. So there are several underlays that were already included with the WeatherTell installation, and to use these underlays, first just simply open WeatherTell and then go to the open menu on the top left of the screen, and from here navigate to where you installed WeatherTell. And normally it'd be C, Program Files, and then VAS for Visual Analytic Solutions, and your WeatherTell installation, and then you have a directory called Underlays. Double click on that directory, and then if you want a geographic underlay, or basically a flat earth projected underlay, you go to geographic. Geocentric is a spherical underlay, and we'll go over those on a later video. So double click geographic, and now we have a list of underlays that we can use. So let's start with the most simple, which are just the state outlines for the United States. So we double click that, and now we have our state outlines underlay within our pipeline browser. If we want to see that underlay in our actual visualization screen, all we have to do is hit apply in the object inspector, and now we have the state outlines in our visualization window. And you can see when you click through these that you can move them around, and we haven't put any actual weather data in here, so this is just the underlay. Now let's say you want to put in the state outlines, but you want some elevation with those. So we can turn off the state outlines right now just by clicking the I button right here, and that turns that off. The data are still loaded, so we can turn those on and off. So go back to open, and you'll notice on the bottom left of the screen here, the open file screen, WeatherTell remembers the last few directories that you've been in so that you can quickly reference those. So now, instead of state outlines, choose state outlines with elevation. So we click on that, and now we have state outlines, except we have elevation with those. So now we have some three-dimensional nature to our georeference data set. Okay? So now let's say you want something a little fancier. So we can turn off state outlines with elevation and go back to open. And now, let's say we want to look at elevation over North America. So here's North America elevation.vtk. So that's the file we're looking for. Double click that or hit OK. And that brings up an elevation data set over North America. So you can see that the elevation is there. However, we don't like the colors. So blue ocean, red land, that doesn't work. So if we want to change the colors of whatever is in the pipeline browser, we go to the object inspector once we have North America elevation.vtk chosen, and click on the display tab. From the display tab, go down to color by and choose solid color. And that should change the elevation file to a solid color, but now we want to apply a texture map to that. So click on Apply Texture, and then Load, and it should bring you up into the directory you just had, and click on North America Shaded Relief.jpg. So once we hit OK, now we are coloring the elevation map using the texture map of the North America Shaded Relief. So now we have a nice pretty underlay that will allow us to georeference any weather information we put on top of this. So we can actually add these other underlays. If you want to put on the state outlines on top of this, click State Outlines with Elevation, and there you go. And there's your state outlines. Now let's just say you click the state outlines without the elevation. You'll notice that over the western US you can't really see the state outlines, and that's because they are underneath the elevation map. Okay, so everything is georeferenced, and the X and Y dimensions on these maps are latitude and longitude, and the elevation is in kilometers. So that's the standard default axes for WeatherTell. So depending on which underlay you're looking for, just click on that, bring that up. This is one of my favorites, so now you can look at any continental US or North American model data, and you'll have a georeferenced data set and a georeferenced underlay, one to make your images look better, but also, and more importantly, to understand that you know where you're looking at on the map. So now the next step, of course, is to bring on some weather data and start your analysis.